Thank you. Good evening, everybody. It is a pleasure to stand before you this evening, and of course I won't keep you long. I understand that you all have a lot of gambling and stuff to get done tonight before the evening is over. My name is Sharon Moses Burnside. I am an attorney who happens to work for the city of Houston. I do not practice law for the city of Houston, but I actually work for the city in the recycling division. Now, I am actually honored to stand before you today because when I was asked to speak tonight, it kind of came as a surprise to me. I went to an event where I sat next to a very nice young lady. She had a very nice smile, and I had two options. There was one lady on this side and one person on that side, and I had to decide where I wanted to sit. I sat next to someone with a very friendly smile, and I happened to sit next to Emil. Now, when I sat next to Emil, I had no idea that there was a connection here. We just began to talk about everything, things that mattered and things that didn't matter, and our conversation just flowed. I never told her that I was an attorney. I never told her that I was an author. I didn't tell her that I was a speaker. I kept it all to myself. Now, as we kept talking, excuse me, the school counselor walked up to us and started telling me how I could promote my book. So Emil's sitting there and she's looking, what's going on? And she asked me, she said, so what is your book about? And I said, oh, it's about grief. It's about getting to the other side of grief. And I just kind of blew it off like that. And Emil said, so what's the title of the book? And I said, the title of the book is Empty Arms, A Woman's Journey to Wholeness. And I think you can see that here. And when I said that, she said, oh, we're looking for a speaker. I was like, a speaker for what? And she explained to me what she was doing in the area of SIDS. Now, as we talked, we kind of got to know each other a little bit better. I gave her my number and said, okay, fine. You know, if you're interested, give me a call and we'll see what we can do. I never heard from her. I thought she gave up on me and figured she didn't want to hear me at all and had no idea that she was actually doing her thing behind the scenes. And she called me and said, you know, Sharon, can you come and talk to us today about SIDS? And I told her, sure, I'll be here. Let me kind of give you a little bit of background about where I'm coming from with SIDS. When I was 17 years old, I had my first experience with death. Now, my 16-year-old cousin, she was taking a shower, and I was listening to gospel music. We were getting ready to go somewhere fun. I don't remember exactly where it was, but I know it was going to be someplace fun. My cousin had this sudden inkling to get out of the shower and go check on her baby. It was so strong, she just ran and left the water running, and she's running to the bedroom with water just dripping down her body. She gets to the bedroom to check on the baby, and she screams, Sharon, my baby's not breathing! I take off running into the room, barely dressed myself, trying to do the best I can to see if I could help her. I looked at the baby and noticed the baby wasn't breathing. I was listening to gospel music, you know, getting dressed fast, we're getting ready to go, we're having a good time, it's a good, happy day. And when I realized the baby wasn't breathing, I laid my hand on the child and I started to pray for her to start breathing again. It didn't happen. So I grabbed that baby out of the bedroom and I ran to the living room where I had this loud gospel music playing. And I said, you know, I'm thinking to myself, Lord, if you don't hear my prayer, I sat the baby in front of the radio, right by the speakers. Maybe you'll hear the gospel music, and then you'll look down, and you'll get this baby to start breathing again. That didn't happen. So then, I tried to give the baby CPR, you know, I figured some kind of way if I could just breathe into her lungs and get her to breathe back, we'd have a baby that was alive and working. And when I breathed into that baby's lungs, this brown chocolate child turned milky white in the face. Scared me. So I got up, I grabbed my robe, and I went to a neighbor's house. I realized we had a neighbor who was visiting from the Army Reserve, and I knew that at least she would know CPR. I told my hysterical cousin at this point, call the ambulance, call the ambulance. She called them. In the meantime, the neighbor comes over, runs over to the child, does the CPR for the baby, who was about 2 months old. And the baby never starts breathing. Now you can hear the sirens. The ambulance is coming. You hear the sirens. The ambulance and the technicians, well, the technicians get out of the ambulance, they run to the apartment, they grab the baby. My cousin, now fully clothed, runs with them to the ambulance, and they all drive to the hospital. I am downstairs, standing there looking around a full 360. Now there's nothing for me to do. And I hit the ground. I pass out cold. The maintenance men from the apartment picked me up and carried me back up to my apartment. I was 17, a lot lighter than I am now, so it was an easier job, I'm sure. Thank God that was back then and not now. But by the time my parents came home, we knew what had happened to the child. It was SIDS, sudden infant death syndrome. Now, SIDS is more likely to occur, 2 times more likely to occur to African Americans than Caucasians. And it's more likely to occur if it's a baby boy than if it's a baby girl. And for whatever reason, it actually happens more in the winter time than in other seasons. SIDS is an interesting syndrome because we can't really explain why it happens. We can't make it stop. We have no science answer for it directly. Now, with the study of it, of course, we've gotten better. And we now know, lay the baby on the back. Don't put the baby on the stomach. Cody was on her belly. Cody, the baby that my cousin lost, was about 2 months old, give or take, maybe a month. Now, I'm going to fast forward from that incident, which was quite a few years ago, to talk about my very own. Now, I stand before you and I tell you about my cousin's story only because I shared it with her. I was there with her. I felt her pain. I was there at the funeral, and I was there trying to bring a baby back to life that stopped breathing for no reason at all. That wasn't my baby, though. Kennedy Elise Burnside was mine. She was born November 20th, 2007. And when she was born, she weighed 415 grams, not even 1 pound. She was completely whole, though. She was just a tiny little baby. I had gone in for a routine prenatal exam. All he was going to do was a checkup and send me home. But I was told that I was severely preeclamptic, which is a condition of high blood pressure that's brought on by being pregnant. The only way you can get rid of that is to have that baby, birth that baby, or abort that baby. And the mother and the baby are both in jeopardy, particularly when it's severe. So I didn't have a choice. I either had to abort Kennedy, give birth to her right then, and that's what I chose, to give birth to her and not to just take her and kill her. If she has a chance of survival, let her take it, let her have it. When I gave birth to Kennedy, 415 grams, she lived for 6.5 weeks, and then she suddenly and unexpectedly died. When she died, she was almost 2 pounds. We were getting ready to bring her home. She was in the hospital the whole entire time. Now, Kennedy was not my first baby, though. My first baby, I miscarried. My second baby died. At this point, we don't have any children yet. This is my husband at the camera, Carlo Burnside. And we'll see what God has in store for us. But in the meantime, I just want to give you an idea of the impact of sudden infant death syndrome. It's a serious issue, it's a serious concern, and it affects us all. It doesn't matter race, it doesn't matter age, it doesn't matter the economic status of the person. But it's something that can affect us all. Now, the title of my book, and I'll put a little plug in that, is Empty Arms, A Woman's Journey to Wholeness. And the strange thing is, how has empty arms brought me to a journey of wholeness? And that's an interesting question, and I'll get off this mic in just a few minutes, but I want to give you an idea of what that journey has brought me to. See, this journey that I'm on, or was on, at the point of Kennedy's death, it was forced upon me. I didn't ask for it. I didn't want it. But there I was, standing, looking at it, standing at the fork in the road. Which way do I go? Now, a journey, I looked up the definition, and I said, I'm going to make this easy, right? We're all college students here, and I've been to college, been there and back several times. A journey is to travel from one place to another. That's if you use it as a noun. But if you use it as a verb, a journey is to travel over or through. And that's what I did. In my healing process, when I began to write about Kennedy Elise Burnside and this child that I never brought home, this child that could never be mine, became a journey from one end, going over to another, going through to the other side of grief. And it's just that simple. You just keep moving. You don't stand still, and you don't allow yourself to get stuck in the pain. You see, grief will dig deep. Grief will go down and remind you of all the things in your past that have caused you to hurt, and it'll magnify and complicate the current situation. But if you keep moving, if you keep looking forward and not forcing on the past, looking back at the past, then you will go on your own journey to wholeness and to healing. And why do you have to keep moving? Very simple, because you can't stay still. You cannot change what happened. No matter how guilty a person feels, no matter how angry you feel. And they say there are 7 stages to grief, 5 or 7, depending upon where you look on the internet. But the stages are going to be different because everybody has a different situation where grief will grab something else and remind them about something else, and then will greatly impact where they are at this point. Empty Arms, a woman's journey to wholeness, is about going through, about not giving up, about not getting stuck in the pain, about not looking at the current situation and thinking that this is where I am forever. No, this is where you are today. My name is Sharon Moses Burnside, and I am the author of Empty Arms, A Woman's Journey to Wholeness, and a sister book, Empty Arms, A Woman's Journal. Both books can be found at www.exlibris.com. If you are interested, you can do a book search and type in Empty Arms, and both books will pop up. Remember, whatever your grief situation, not that you all or any of you are in grief, you all are pretty young, things are probably looking really great for you today, but if tomorrow doesn't smile on you, know that you have a journey to take from beginning to end to go through, and you can get to the other side. We can be grief-free, we can be SIDS-free. Thank you, Emil, for the invitation. Now have a great night.
It's good, thank you.
Oh, got it. He's gonna get me. You're welcome, honey. Oh, I didn't keep you too long.
No, you're good.